So for 7.3b, I'm going to do the key terms with you guys here just because this is a really short lesson. There's only one type of question we're doing. I did kind of shorten this lesson. If you have the notes packet, you see in the objective that it says calculate medical expense deductions. I took that out because it's kind of harder to do. And again, just to save time this year, it's not super important for you to know how to do that specific deduction, just what itemized deductions are in general. So we're going to do the whole lesson right here, key terms, and then 2 questions. That's it. So Schedule A, what this is, we briefly mentioned in the last lesson what itemizing your deductions means. Itemized means they are very specific deductions that not everybody can get. And again, tax deductions it's just amounts of money that the government pretends you didn't make because you spent them on important things. So Schedule A is the form you fill out. There's lots of different forms you can fill out to do your taxes, or forms you can receive as well, in order to itemize your deductions. So the Schedule A lists all the possible deductions, lists all the possible itemized deductions you can have. As always, I should have already had this pulled up, but that's okay. Okay. So this is what Schedule A looks like. As you can see, it says itemized deductions, Schedule A. So again, these are different things that you can claim and say, you know what, this money was spent on very important things. And so the government will pretend that I didn't make this money because I spent it on important things. Medical expenses and dental expenses you can deduct. However, again, it has to be a certain amount. It has to be above a certain amount, actually. So if it's only like $100, you can't deduct that. But if it's a very excessive, you've been in the hospital for a long time, then you can. Certain state and local taxes you can actually deduct. Not a lot of people do this, and I'll talk about why later. Interest on your home, because again, that's important, right? You're having to pay off your loan, you're having to pay off your home. You know what? All that extra that you're having to pay, we're just going to pretend that you're not even making that money. We're not going to tax you extra on that. Here's where I talked about gifts to charity, right? So if it says if you made a gift of $250 or more, see instructions. If you made big donations, then it's a little bit different. But right, again, if you're donating to charity, the government doesn't want to tax you on that money, right? They're just going to pretend you didn't even make it. Casualty and theft losses, I had mentioned this, yeah. Nowadays, though, I guess actually, it's only from a federally declared disaster. It used to be if you had personal theft. Like if somebody stole from you personally, just like out of the blue, you could claim that. I guess they did change this recently. If like your house was a part of a looting because there was a hurricane or there was an earthquake or whatever, you can deduct it there. But if somebody just stole from you nowadays, I guess you can't do that. There are some other very specific deductions, but these are the big ones. So again, this would be the form you would fill out if you're going to do itemized deductions. However, you can only either claim the standard or itemize. You cannot do both. It's one or the other. Either you get that big chunk of money that the government just pretends you didn't make, or you can do a lot of individual itemized deductions instead. However, it's only going to be worth it to itemize deductions when the total of your itemized deductions sorry, this takes me a while to write because I just got my mouse here, is bigger than the standard deduction. I'm just going to put dead. There we go. Deduction. Because again, you can only do one or the other. For people who want to keep their taxes simple and who really just don't have complicated tax lives, financial lives, that's why the government has the standard. They say, you know what, here's this chunk of money that for every single person, we will pretend you didn't make that much. Keep it simple. However, some people, again, who have more complicated financial lives, they donate to charity, or again, they had a lot of medical expenses or something like that. It may be worth it to itemize. Nowadays, not a lot of people itemize because they really increased the standard, excuse me, A couple years ago, they really bumped the standard up so that even fewer people are going to itemize because it's just not worth it. They don't have enough itemized deductions in order to go that route. So they just do the standard. So that's what these two questions are going to be. The question is, should they claim the standard deduction or should they itemize? We only itemize if all of the itemized deductions together add up to be bigger than the standard. So let's go ahead and read this question. Kendall is trying to determine if she should claim the single standard deduction. Again, this is old. Now it's $12,800, but that's okay. Or if she should itemize. After filling out Schedule A. So once again, that's the form she fills out to get all of her itemized deductions. She's got a couple itemized deductions here. She's got a medical expense, her state and local taxes, and her home mortgage interest. We want to know, again, the answer is, should she claim the standard or itemize? So here's how you kind of want to set this up. You want to compare these two, yeah? We are trying to compare the standard deduction to her itemized deductions. Whichever bigger is the one we're going to use. So this is the standard, right? Again, the whole point of the standard deduction is it's just one chunk of money that the government pretends you didn't make. For every single person, the government will pretend you didn't make that first $12,000. Then we have all of the itemized deductions over here that we're going to have to add together. So I'm going to go ahead and list them, but you can start adding them as well. 4,034.15. So once again, what we are going to see is, after we add these up, does it become bigger than the standard? If so, then yes, we'll itemize because that's more money the government is pretending she didn't make. But if it's not bigger than the standard, then she would actually owe more in taxes if she tried to itemize her deductions. So let's add these numbers. I can find my calculator here. There we are. Let's see. 5672.04 plus 4034.15 plus 1082.90. Okay, I got 10,789.09. That sounds hopefully correct here. So if she were to itemize her deductions, this would be her total deduction versus if she went with a standard, it'd be 12,000. So what do we think she should do? What would work out better for her? Should she just do the standard or should she itemize? She should do the standard, right? That's bigger, yeah? Because this is bigger, you want the biggest deduction possible, right? You want the biggest amount of money that the government is going to pretend you didn't make. If possible, it would be awesome if the government pretended I didn't make any money at all, right? Because then I wouldn't pay taxes. So again, whichever is bigger, that's our answer. So we have to add them together to see, but that is just it. That's our answer. Okay, so I want you to try this one. I want you to set it up the same way, again, because we are comparing. We are comparing the standard. Pay attention to what it says the standard is here, because remember that the standard deduction changes based on your filing status. So read it carefully. It'll tell you the standard deduction. Okay, so I'm reading this. So these first ones here, these are the itemized deductions. Why did I do this? Seriously, what was I thinking? I'm going to backtrack here. I'm going to change this. Okay, so I started to set this up. I cut the video here. I'm going to cut the video here. And then I don't know why I didn't do this. I need to fix this problem because I want this to work out a certain way so that you can see. So let's go ahead and go, let's go 5,000. There we go. Okay, so I want you to try this problem. If you could please change the charity donation to 5,000. I'm going to keep it that way for the future. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. So try this problem now. This is a charity donation of 5,000. Again, in your notes, it says 100. Please change it to 5,000. I wanted to change that for the purpose of this question. So compare the standard to the itemized deductions. Go ahead and try this. Okay, so Let me get my little highlighter here. Okay, so these three are the itemized deductions. Be careful not to accidentally add the standard. The standard just goes over here. We are just comparing to the standard. We're not adding the standard to anything because the standard deduction is just one big chunk deduction. These are the only three itemized. Once again, do not add those together here. So on this side, you should have gotten, well, this is 20,000. This is 24,569. So it's really your choice. Again, if you file your taxes on your own, you could just click a box that says standard. But it's possible that if you were to itemize, you would get a bigger deduction. So you really do have to decide, is it better for me to do the standard or to itemize my deductions? Yeah. So what do we think in this case? Is it better for them to go with the standard, or is it better for them to itemize? Itemize because it is bigger. That's why I changed this to 5,000. I don't know why I didn't have it originally, so you can see both ways. They will get a bigger deduction if they itemize. So that's what they should go with. So in your homework, again, really the focus is which one are you picking, but I am going to have you show the math you're doing. You'll see that in your assignment, just because it'd be easy enough to get, 50% chance, standard or itemized, yeah. So your homework, you'll kind of break this down to some different pieces.